Hello and thank you for joining me. Today's video is how to build an evac pack. I have purposely not called it a baguette bag or a go bag because most definitely in the UK, and I suspect that's in other countries as well, when people hear baguette bag they automatically think of a bag that's heavy with tools, knives, axes, saws, and that you're going to run off into the local forest or your national park and rub two Boy Scouts together for fire. That isn't what this is about. This video is about if you've got next to no notice that you have to evacuate your property, some essentials that in my opinion you require to get you over that initial phase. Let's have a look. So it could be that there's a sinkhole appeared in your road. This has happened fairly recently. Flooding, always an issue. A house fire. Some unexploded ordnance from World War II. Or even a bit of civil unrest. And of course you're always going to have those people that say, I ain't never bugging out. Well, at the end of the day, the reason you evacuate your property is that there is an imminent threat to life. So stay behind and fry or run away and get to fight another day. That's obviously your choice. Some of the options that we're going to be looking at if we do have to evacuate. First one would be a friend or family member's property. Depends what the problem is, where the problem is, but that's your first choice in my opinion, friends or family. It could be that you're going to a local evacuation centre, and when I say that I'm talking about perhaps a church hall, a school hall, a civic hall, that sort of thing. Somewhere where you can get your nut down perhaps, have a hot cup of tea, reevaluate what's happening and make your plans on how you're actually going to move forward. Or of course it could be that you're going to go into, book yourself into a hotel or a motel. Just bear in mind that prices for these go up when there is more demand. And in the UK, certainly in my area, when I looked, the average cost is 80 to 90 quid. That's even in Travelodge, something like that, per night. So there's a bit of money there, but at the end of the day you've got to think about it. If your house is on fire or you've got to evacuate for one of the reasons that I've given, you potentially need to go somewhere where you can actually sit down, have a brew, reorganise, start making phone calls. Yeah, phoning your insurance company if there's structural damage to your property, etc, etc, etc. A quick shout out to Nige in Wales. Messaged me and asked me if I was doing a baguette bag video, and it was something that was already in progress, so to speak. So cheers mate. Right, let's crack on and actually get to the nuts and bolts. This side pocket, first aid kit, mainly for cuts and abrasions, plasters, wound closure strips, trauma dressing, there's some paracetamol, that sort of things, a few bandages. This side pocket, 1 litre bottle, Hygiene bottle of water. That is the only water that is packed in this bag. We'll come back to that. Pouch at the front. Pair of gloves. Benny hat. Snood, neck over, face covering, whatever you want to call it. A honey stove. It is a flat pack wood burning stove. We'll also come back to that. That's it in that pouch. Working our way up to the next one. I've got some braided paracord with two 12 kilonewtons carabiners on there. The carabiners, they're not climbing rated, they're okay for using if you was going to use a hammock, but the main reason for it is just over 5 foot long, it's double braided paracord, is if I need to lower the pack out for a window instead of just chucking it and everything getting smashed to bits, dragging it along that sort of thing. Not essential, but something I've chosen to put in there. A basic hygiene kit. In a hotel, friends or family's house, something like that, want to try and keep myself a little bit cleaner to start with. If I need more, this isn't the end of the world. If I need more, I go to Tesco's and buy what I need. This is to get me over the initial. So there's some wet wipes, a little deodorant, some soap flakes, a travel toothbrush and toothpaste, and a microfiber cloth. Toilet paper and hand sanitizer. If you're at a civic hall or a community hall, toilet facilities are going to land up getting, you know, a bit ropey, toilet paper run out, etc. Toilet paper and hand sanitizer. Long handled spoon. And some electrics. Not massive amount. 10,000 milliamp hour battery pack. A charging lead and a mains charger. It should be enough to keep us going in the short term so we can make phone calls, we can phone the insurance companies, the loss adjusters and everything else, and actually make plans so we can move forward. We need to be able to keep our phones topped up. That is that one done. In this zipped pouch is a document organiser. Stay or don't. It's got our passports in there, a substantial amount of cash, an emergency credit card. It's something I think you might want to think about. Apply for a card and put it away. Hasn't got to have, you know, thousands and thousands, but if the worst comes to the worst and you have to leave your property and you've got to start booking into hotels and that, it just gives you an option. Wasn't expensive this case, it's about 6 or 7 quid on Amazon. There's a notepad, pads, a pen, USB sticks with essential documents on there, SD cards, emergency credit card, bank cards, cash, that sort of thing. This is very important. If you've got to leave your property, you need the documents and the admin side of it to be able to move things forward. Then going into the main pouch, or the main body of the bag, a waterproof jacket. In an ideal world, if you're evacuating, you're going to have a coat, jacket, coat, whatever. It's just a waterproof outer layer. A cooking vessel, and I know some of you, oh, you got that. As you will see, there's certain elements of this kit that are for worst case scenario. If we're in the civic hall, the church or a friend's property or a member of the family, they're not going to need it. They're going to have a kettle, you know, you're going to have a cup and everything's hunky-dory. But worst case scenario is that you're not there. You can be absolutely anywhere. That's why there was the honey stove and a big pot. It's a titanium one, had it for ages, don't use it much, so it's ideal to go in here. I'm not really missing it, but the reason it is such a big one is because there's 2 of us. So if I do have to boil water or heat meals, the pot's big enough to cater for 2 people. If you're just a single person, then you'll get away with a much smaller pot, and then all I've done is it's filled up with coffee, 2-in-1 coffee sachets. Food we will come back to in a moment. There is an air mattress. This is pretty much a clone of the Alp kit Cloud Base, I think it's called. There's no R value as such, which could be a bummer. But even if you're around friends or family, if they haven't got a spare room and you're kipping in their front room on the floor, it'll be uncomfortable. So an air mattress gets you off the ground a little bit, gives you some comfort. There's a jungle pack, sorry, a snug pack jungle bag. So really it's a 1/2 season sleeping bag. It's going to be no good at all in the winter, but again, if you're in a building, it's not going to be as cold. There's just a bit of insulation with the pad that you can hopefully get some sleep. And again, if you're at a friend's house, they might not have spare bedding, believe it or not. So if you're kipping on the floor, air mattress, sleeping bag, everything's good in the world. Again, because I'm trying to cater for all eventualities, there is a Gore-Tex bivy bag in there, just in case. But it also does give another little bit of insulation to the sleeping bag. Spare underwear and a t-shirt, that's it, no more spare clothes. Tell a lie, there's a pair of spare socks in here. Spare socks. Not big on the clothing. We have a bag that's kept separately with a change of clothing, so if the house catches fire and we've gone through the window, you know, and I'm just in my boxers or worse, there's a bag that gets thrown out the window with a change of clothes for the pair of us. If we've got time to get dressed before we need to leave the property, then we'll be dressed. This is just to get us through the first 24 hours. If the problem goes on for longer, then I'm going to just go to Tesco's or wherever you shop and buy what we need. Water kit, again, perhaps not essential in the scenarios that I've suggested, but there is a soya mini in there with a carbon filter, so that will take out more impurities, a squeeze bag and a meal bank bag. Doesn't weigh a great deal. As I say, may not be used if you're going around your mates, going to a hotel, worst case scenario, water filter. Then we've got a footprint. And then right in the bottom, so in theory it's packed the wrong way round. So if this was a wilderness survival kit or a bushcraft kit, your tarp will be at the top, because that'd be the first thing you want out. This is packed at the bottom because this is the last thing I want out in this scenario. You can pack a poncho as an emergency shelter or a tarp, whatever. This one is big and bulky. It is the DD 3x3 with all the pegs, the guy lines and a ridge line in there. And the reason it's this size is because there are 2 of us. It's no good me packing a poncho in there. You're not going to get 2 people in a poncho. 3x3, plenty of space. You can put it up like a tent if you need to, you know, enclose it because of the size of it. But that's at the bottom because it is really part of the last case scenario shelter. And that is the actual full contents of this bag. Right, going back to the food, there's not 3 days food in here. Again, I'm really looking that it's a 24 hours away. If it's going to be longer, we go Tesco's. We're not talking about the end of the world or a zombie apocalypse. We're talking about something that's made you evacuate your home. You've got a breathing space and then you're going to replenish. Even if you was to pack 3 days food, 5 days food, for a start of all you've got to be able to carry it. But the other problem is, depending on how long the incident goes on for, how are you going to replenish? You're going to go shopping. So I'm not going to lug loads and loads of food about. This gets us through the short term, and then if we need more, Aldi's, Tesco, whatever your chosen supermarket is. And all that is in here, there is a freeze-dried chicken curry, 600 calories. Two lots of porridge, 400 odd calories each. 1 wet ration, and that is on purpose. These obviously need hot water, or cold water if you like eating minging food, but hot water. This is ready to go as it is. If there has been drama and you're out, it is nice to have a relatively tasty meal to start with, or could be, before you have to start faffing about with hot water. So this one's just an all-day breakfast. It's a boil in a bag job, and there is 1 ration heater. Yeah, add a bit of water to it, pop that in, 10 minutes later, hot meal. So, lifesaver, morale booster. So there's just the one, so you've got something to eat immediately, and something I'm always banging on about, the Nature Valley protein bars. Just under 200 calories a bar, and this weighs, I think it's 40 grams it weighs. So there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, just under 1,200 calories in that little bag. Doesn't weigh a great deal. Weighs less than that does. 1,200 calories, 400 and something calories. So that's the food. Gets us over easily a 24-hour period. Could stretch into a 48-hour period before we've then got to worry about replenishing, going shopping, whatever. The bum bag that was attached to the bag initially, that's just how it's stored. This really, as soon as possible, would actually be worn around the waist, backpack on your back, like this, round the waist. There's not a million things in here. There are pockets that are empty, because it will enable me to put extra stuff in there if I need it. But this sort of stuff I want to keep close to my body. So in the very front pocket, there is a Leatherman super tool. Very, very old, not even the 300, the original Leatherman super tool. Yes, it's locking blades. Technically, it's not legal without good cause in the UK to have it in public. In this instance, I think I've got good cause. It's an emergency. I've grabbed my pack. It's in there. Good old cotton bandana. The survival, if you want to call it, necklace, again, perhaps not essential, but if it's the situation's that bad that it's down to a tarp and a bivvy bag and the wood burning stove, this is there. There is a signal mirror that I've covered before with a bit of inner tube over the top, stop it getting scratched. Little LED microlight, a whistle, and a big lighter. So that's on there, as I say, 9 times out of 10 it'd be round my neck under my jumper. Head torch, ready to go, has batteries in it. Bank line for some cordage. Marker light, I like these, they're not expensive and they are excellent for carrying in kits. If you need to stop yourself getting run over, you can put it on yourself where you're walking overnight. You can use it as a marker for where your camp is so you don't get lost or where you've got to go, or if you've got children you can put it on kids, pets, whatever. Yes, a ferro rod, not a massive one. It's not really a bushcraft kit, but I want to try and cover my options. You might not, you might decide you don't need the tarp and the wood burning stove and the survival kit, and the rest of it will suffice for you. A spare AA battery for my EDC torch. Some spare AAA batteries for the head torch. 40 water purification tablets, that's to treat 40 litres of water if need be. A very small fire kit, probably wouldn't get used. If the crap was that bad that we're hiding in the woods under the tarp, then to be fair, having a fire is probably not the best thing to do, but it's in here. There is some Vaseline lip gloss, some bits of inner tube, a candle, a mini Bic, some tinder card, which is my preferred tinder for lighting things, and there are some tinder plugs. So it's pretty basic. And as I say, it isn't something I'd expect to be using, but I find it extremely difficult when I'm creating a kit not to cover or try to cover all eventualities. You might decide that that's never going to happen, you're never going to need to, so you don't bother. That choice is yours. There is a mylar blanket in there, an olive green one side, and the other items that I use for my emergency shelter. So worst case scenario is someone nasty has come and invaded our country. They could be English speaking or not. Anyway, yeah, worst case scenario is we've been invaded by aliens or a foreign nation or whatever, and mutant zombie badgers have mugged me for my rucksack. If I've got this on me, I've got the capability to make fire. There's water purification tablets. It's the UK, you haven't got to go far before you find a discarded can or plastic bottle. I can make up the most basic emergency shelter, start a fire, and live for another day perhaps. But that really is all that's in there. You might not need something like this. I just find it very difficult, as I've said, to create a kit and not have, you know, the survival items in there as well. But that's just me. But that is really it. Evacuate the home for the reasons given. That is something that should get you through 24 hours at least. It is what it is. So that's it. That's, to me, an evacuation pack. As I said, not a bushcraft pack, not running off to live in the woods, but it's got enough essentials, in my opinion, to keep us going for 24 hours, maybe 48 hours, until we can replenish, sort ourselves out, get the wheels in motion to get our life back to normal. As I said, some of the items are more survival based, and that really is the last ditch, the last option, and I find it extremely difficult to not have those items. So in an ideal world it is going to be friends and family, in which case you need very little. A local haul, you're going to need a little bit more, but you've got shelter. Chances are you're going to have hot water if it's in a boiler or a kettle or whatever. Hotel, something like that would be the next one, because you know that's going to incur more cost, and that is going to run into the hundreds if you're going to be there more than a few days, but it's an option for many. And the final option, when everything else has failed or it's gone to, you know, it's gone down the pan that badly, is that, yeah, we're going to have to summit somewhere under a tarp, cooking, making fires and doing survival stuff. But anyway, that's it. If you found the video useful, then give us one of them. If you're not a subscriber, please consider hitting that subscribe button and notification bell button. And if you've got any comments, I would love to read them. Have a great day. See you soon.